Good afternoon. Happy Monday. We are live. We are here. Not a lot to talk about, but we got some things to talk about. It's the off season. It's the first week status post mini camp. Mandatory mini camp is over. The 49ers have a month long, a little bit over a month actually, long break until they have to come back for training camp. So we're going to be talking about the latest news and rumors going on. A lot of it has to deal with Brandon Aiyuk. But before we do, let me introduce my main man, Big Ted. Shout out to my boy. How you doing, man? How have you been?
Doing good, Raj. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'd say happy Monday if there is such a thing. And I'm just glad to be here to chop it up with you. It's always fun and excited to get down to it here. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Happy Monday. Most people are probably working, starting their work week, all that good stuff. Me and you, we don't really have to on Mondays. Well, me, I work a lot during the week, but Monday's my one day where I could be like, I could work if I want to. I could it's just like a free day for me. So I'm really happy about Mondays lately. So
I'm really happy because I had an eye exam and they didn't dilate my eyes. So
nice.
I can actually see the chat, folks.
Nice. Yeah, we were worried. We might have
one big blur otherwise.
Yeah, it would have been bad. I've had to do that for Larry Kruger one time. He couldn't read it. He's like, all right, just read all the comments. I was like, all right, here we go. So it is what it is. Shout out to the chat. Josh P, Stephen Reynolds, Jimmy, Ryan McDonald, all those people in the chat. We got Red Jet Shell. We got Bebop Jones. What's up, everybody? How are we feeling? How are we doing? So, yeah, let's go off. The leadoff story of the day, obviously, the big contract of the offseason. There's always one of them every year. And this year we've been talking about it ad nauseum. I feel like we mentioned this every single week. Brandon Aiyuk, because he hasn't signed his contract. He didn't show up to mandatory minicamp. He got fined over $100K. I guess that's fine with him. Whatever. It wouldn't be. I wouldn't want to get fined $100K, even if I was making millions. But it is what it is. There was a report today from Mike Silver. He was on Papa and Lund, and NBC Bay Area posted up first, and they threw it out there. So apparently, according to the report, Brandon Aiyuk has been offered this just a report. It's rumors. I don't know if this is true, but Mike Silver, he's pretty plugged in with the Niners. He has been wrong. He has been right. He says that Brandon Aiyuk's contract is right now reportedly a $26 million per year deal from the 49ers. That's what they've offered him, $26 million, right? We kind of talked about this range a couple weeks ago, but Brandon Aiyuk obviously hasn't accepted it. Otherwise, we'd have breaking news, right? His range is closer to Amon-Ra, which was said a few weeks ago. His wide receiver coach a couple days ago, TJ Houshmandzadeh, was on 95.7 a game, and he says about a month ago, they're pretty optimistic they were going to get signed. Now it's a little bit more pessimistic because the Niners didn't reach what they wanted, which we've heard is close to $28 to $30 million, the Amon-Ra deal. And now the news comes out today that it's $26 million. So Houshmandzadeh's news kind of lines up with the report today of they're still not where Brandon Aiyuk wants him to be. $26 million. Are you eating caviar for every meal, Brandon Aiyuk? What do you think, Ted, about this offer and the whole situation?
I mean, it's funny when it was early in the offseason, I said 24 to 26. Then in light of these newer signings, I upped it to 26 to 28. And lo and behold, that's exactly where they are. I definitely give myself a pat on the back for that stuff. But also, I'm not surprised, and I'm not surprised that Brandon Aiyuk wants more, and I'm not surprised the Niners, I don't think will go over 28. But I guess time will tell, as the wise man said. Real quick, I just want to circle back real quick on the eye exam piece here too. This is really important because someone I know and love waited till they got glaucoma symptoms before they missed a lot of eye exams. It's really important to go get your eyes checked every year, not only as you get older to get your reading glasses correctly gauged for how much stronger they need to be, but to get checked for glaucoma, because once you have symptoms, it's way too late. You need to catch it way before the symptoms start kicking in if you want to save much or any of your vision. So it's a real serious thing. And sorry, I just wanted to circle back to that from the eye exam piece.
Good deal. Good deal. I wear contacts. You would never know I have eye issues, but check these contacts out. I'm blind as bat. So yeah, get your eyes checked regularly. Get your whole body checked out regularly in the end of the day. But real quick, circling back to the BA news. So yeah, we kind of been on the ball with the numbers here over the last couple of months, like 26 million. Now there's 28 million. I don't know. I love BA, but I don't know. $30 million seems like a little bit too much, man. And I think there's people in the chat that would say that Carl Thomas says, I hope Brandon Aiyuk takes his $26 million. Jocelyn says, I love BA, but damn, like it is a lot of $30 million. They got to pay Brock Purdy next year. But again, some team might pay Brandon Aiyuk that much money, and he'd be worth it to them. And I'm not saying he's not worth that money. He has been an exceptional receiver. He's gotten better over the last couple, every year since he's been in the league. But in the 49ers offense, how many times are they going to utilize this guy? And if he's getting that much money, he's going to have to become a top priority. Like, you have to show that he's your top guy. So it's tough for me because I think he has a great rapport with Brock Purdy. 30 million is a lot, and I mean, 26 is pretty damn good. I feel like that's pretty justifiable for your first contract extension. It's closer to the Waddle, to the Amon-Ra numbers. It's close to those guys' numbers, and I feel like his production is on par with them. I mean, Amon-Ra, man, his production's insane. Obviously, he's the number one target there. He's the number one option, so his numbers are going to be a little bit more inflated. And Aiyuk had close to 1,400 yards last year, and he was so not as heavily targeted as those other guys. So he's very efficient. So Aiyuk puts the numbers up, and I get it. I get all that, but it's a lot of money for a wide receiver, and you're already paying Debo the $23 million. So it is an interesting situation because this is different than some of the other guys we've had. And 49ers also have his 5th-year option that they can pick up and allow him to play on. Well, they did pick it up. They might just be able to say, you know what, if we don't figure it out, you play on the 5th-year option. That's the dangerous route, because if they play him on the 5th-year option, he's definitely not come back, in my opinion, next year. But
wait, but then you can tag him twice after that. So there's actually 3 years we could lock him down against as well. We don't like to do that,
but you don't want to do that.
You don't want to be that team. I get it, but that is part, and that is in their deck, as it were.
Yeah,
it's a card that the 49ers could play.
It's true, but then you have a disgruntled guy that's you just don't want that drama, man. And I want them to make him a happy guy, rather than a salty guy. But it is a very tough situation, and that's the thing. 49ers roster is so stacked. They have some of the highest paid players at every position, or at one point did, Kyle Juszczyk, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Trent Williams, Debo Samuel, George Kittle. All these guys are paid very much. Even before Brock Purdy, Jimmy Garoppolo was getting an abundance of money from the Niners. He at one point set the market at quarterback, after that 5-game stretch in 2017. So 49ers, it's not like they don't pay their players. They set the market on a lot of these players. And people think they forget because they're like, oh, the Niners drag it out. But they really have to ask themselves, is Brandon Aiyuk worth $26 million to $30 million? I know it's $4 million a year, and that can be a big amount for, certain things here and the other. But $26 million, man, I guess I'd take it, but that's me. Henry says Aiyuk is the number 2 on PFF grades. He's Purdy's number 1 guy. He has a passer rating of 125 when targeted. You got to pay him and let Debo go as soon as possible. And I love Aiyuk. And again, I know he's Purdy's number 1 guy, but I think a lot of people do not respect Debo for what he did. I feel like Debo does so much for this team that goes kind of undervalued. I feel like you take him away from this team, it's not going to be the same Niners team. Like, he opens up a lot of things. He opens it up for guys like Brandon Aiyuk. He does open up the middle of the field. So I know a lot of people want to get rid of Debo Samuel, but I don't think they should just yet. And maybe next year he does, because he does have guaranteed money after that. So that's going to be a whole nother situation. But I love
the stats back you up on that too, Raj, because I mean, what have we lost? Like 17 games in the last few years, and 9 of them were when Debo was out. So over half of the games we lost, Debo was out for him. That tells you what it goes beyond the statistics. It goes beyond the route running. It's just that the pure emotion of what happens when he trucks somebody, and how the whole team just gets juiced, and just fired up and ready to just go to war because somebody just put their body on the line for the team. And that's hard to quantify in any statistic or PFF grade,
Yeah, and you can take PFF grades with a grain of salt, although, sometimes it's the only measure you have. So I've used them before. It's not like I'm going to shit on PFF grades. I don't think they're the end all be all, but sometimes you got to look past those. But yeah, I mean, you see it on the field. Brandon Aiyuk and Brock Purdy have a beautiful connection together. So yeah, absolutely think they need to be on the same team together. I think Aiyuk makes Purdy better. I think Purdy makes Aiyuk better. They have such good cohesion. But taking away Debo from this offense is so you're right. They lose a lot of games. They're not the same. They don't have the same abilities in their motion in the offense, because Debo, sometimes just putting him in motion opens up so many different plays out on the field. And then you got CMC too. It's another story for another day. But Debo, like you said, the emotion, the way he kind of carries himself, he's got that mentality. We knew from the NFC Championship game, I remember a couple months ago, Jed York was on the Up and Adams show, and this quote surfaced again today, where he came down and he told John Lynch, and John Lynch went to the locker room, and Debo told him, "You need to get me the damn ball." He told him, "Give me the ball," and he did this in the the year before the playoffs against the Cowboys. "Oh, give me the ball, Kyle," and he put the ball in the box, touchdown. So Debo's important. I know he gets banged up. He plays so physical, but that's the 49ers football. They play a physical style of football, and they're going to get hurt. But I love Debo. I hope he doesn't go anywhere too soon. We'll see what happens next year. But I think he'll stick through the team this year. He seems like he's got his head on really straight. He's been mentoring these young receivers. He's kind of really taken that captain role very seriously since last year. So I like it. He came into camp in better shape the last 2 years than after his contract situation. That was kind of murky. And then speaking of the contract situation with Aiyuk, how's he going to look if he does get paid? Like, we've seen a lot of these players kind of digress a little bit after the contract. They're not training with the team. It's not the same. There's a lot of pressure on them to put up the same numbers. A lot of these guys, they don't always look the same that year after, they sign that contract. So will there be a fall off in Brandon Aiyuk? That's another question we have to ask ourselves. Do you think if Brandon Aiyuk gets his $30 million, he's going to be worth $30 million?
I mean, he could be, but it's just not proven. That's what it really comes down to. He just hasn't proven that he's a wide receiver one. And you could argue he hasn't been given the opportunity to prove it too. But until you prove it, I don't think you can pay it. I just don't think you can pay it as if he has, since he hasn't. That's what
You're not paying for the investment. You're not paying for the investment.
A little bit. I mean, he is definitely the next wave, the youth movement of this team. Him and Diamador Lenore are kind of the only young guys in that core. So you really like to see those two guys stick around if you can. Yeah, I don't know. The swag factor of Debo is hard to ignore, especially who else is going to walk out with Trent Williams with the bump box guy, right? I mean, that is Debo territory right there.
Yeah, we'll come back to Trent. I got one more thing to say on Aiyuk is, okay, so 26 Niners are offering reportedly. He wants 30. Is 28 the magic number? 28.5? Like, is that the magic number, or is it really are the Niners gonna have to just suck it up and give him the $30 million? Is that what it's gonna come down to? What do you think ultimately the number? You've been pretty good on these numbers, Ted. Where do you think the final number lies on the Price is Right with Brandon Aiyuk?
The 49ers will not pay Brandon Aiyuk $30 million.
Okay.
That's not going to happen. I think he wants 28, and I think they want 26. I think they'll meet at 27.
27. Okay, you heard it here first. I think they'll meet in the middle, 26, 30. I think we'll be $28.5 million. They're going to make him a little happy guy. Everybody's going to be cool. He'll get some incentives. Maybe 28.5. But honestly, also the guaranteed money, I feel like, is the crux of it. You can be making 28 a year, but it's how much are you guaranteed of that? So I think that's going to be the bigger number. I think that should be closer to 55, maybe 60 $1 million. I think that's kind of where the big factor is, the wow factor. So keep an eye on the guaranteed money. But I think ultimately it'll come down to 28.5 a year. If they go 30 million a year, Brandon Aiyuk's agent swindles. He did a great job. So we'll see how it goes down. These reports are getting crazy. But there's another report from the weekend. We spoke about Trent Williams. Let me see this comment from Henry. He says Trent Williams is going to retire soon. That door opens a whole can of worms, but it opens nearly $30 million. I think the decision comes between whether Debo or Aiyuk happens after we see what Bersal plays like. Yeah, there's going to be the Bersal factor. How many more years is Trent Williams going to play? Because there was a report this weekend. Let me pull this up. That there are some whispers going around. Whispers in the league. That Trent Williams, he might be seeking a new deal eventually. Like, he wants some guaranteed money on his contract. I know he just re-upped his contract a couple years back, but let me pull up the exact information from, I think 49ers Web Zone was all over this.
It was like a 6-year deal, but wasn't it really like 2-3-year deals?
Yeah,
right?
So he kind of wants a little bit more guarantee, and they've been restructuring. They've been restructuring his deal, So, here's what Jeremy Fowler said. He goes, "It's not anything I've confirmed as hard and fast, Pause. He says, there are certainly whispers among people in the industry who think that he wants a new deal or will want a new deal. And it's part because he's not the highest paid player at his position anymore, right? And he's clearly the best, even though he's 35. He says Fowler points out that Williams is due a base salary of $20.5 million in 2024 and $22.5 million in 2025, saying it's just low enough compared to where the market's going, where he could need an adjustment, right? So I just see it as something that will come to a head. I don't know what it means or how it will shake out, but they're going to probably have to take care of him one more time. When Williams turns 36 next month, Fowler is correct that he remains one of the best offensive linemen in the game. It's unclear how much longer the tackle plans to continue playing. However, in February, he made it clear that retirement isn't in his immediate plans because he said, I haven't thought about that, so I know I'm definitely in for the next couple of years. So it looks like he wants to be paid at the top of the market for tackles. And that's where we're at right now. So I think it's not that he wants a whole new deal. He wants more this. He just wants to get a little bit of an adjustment to make sure he's paid more than the next tackle. I think Penei Sewell might be the highest paid tackle. So he wants to get paid more than Penei Sewell. Trent Williams, huh? There you go.
He deserves it. I would say, don't treat Trent Williams like a punk. Take it from the words of Daft Punk, and like you said, pay him one more time.
One more time. According to Steve-O here in the comments, he says, just give him another locker. Trent has 2 lockers. Give him a 3rd locker. He'll be
hey,
that might work.
There's no cap on lockers.
No locker cap. Give him another locker.
Whole new locker room. Private. There you go.
Just give him a whole, actually just build a whole new locker room for him. So it's just his own personal locker room.
Yeah.
Give him that.
Yeah.
Give him that.
The Trent suite. The Trent suite.
Yeah. The Trent suite.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That'd be funny.
Yeah.
If there's anybody deserving of more money, it's Trent Williams. But again, we'll see. This is just one of those things where, he could seek more money. He's obviously handsomely paid $20 million and 22 the next 2 years. That's pretty damn good money. But if he wants to get a market adjustment, he deserves it. And then that last couple of years, he's kind of restructured his deal where he takes the money up front in a cash bonus. That's always helpful for the team. He's really helped the cap space. So he deserves more money. Drop some, rework his deal. Here's a cash bonus and make it 22 instead of 20 this year. You could do that for him, something like that. I feel like that's something that would be down the line. So we'll see how it goes. Speaking of down the line, another player that has not had, I wouldn't say contract issue, but somebody that hasn't signed a contract is Ricky Pearsall, rookie wide receiver, the 1st-round pick. He actually has not signed his rookie contract yet officially. He's on the team. He's been training and going to minicamp and doing all the things. He's looked really good from all the reports, but he hasn't signed his contract. Do you think he signs that soon? Do you think it'll happen before training camp? What's your thoughts on that?
I think why wouldn't you? It's not like you can negotiate it. It's a rookie deal. Mm-hmm. It's based purely on your number in the draft. I guess there's some, little bits and pieces that you can negotiate, but it just doesn't seem like it's worth risking anything by practicing, in camp without it. So I would be shocked if that's not signed by training camp.
Yeah, I think he'll be signed pretty much in training camp. Usually the rookies, they all get their money in before training camp starts. I just saw that, I was like, Ricky Pearsall hasn't signed his deal yet, but I think it's more like you said, there's a little bit of incentives, guaranteed money that they got to rework and everything, but I think they'll take care of it. First round pick they've had in 3 years. So, make sure he's happy. And speaking of Ricky Pearsall, again, he's looking good. This signing definitely has a big bearing on the future, right? I know they got Jacob Cowling, but Ricky Pearsall, more importantly, is the guy that could replace Debo or Brandon Aiyuk, or, one of the two, if they do make that decision to get rid of him. So there's a lot riding on Ricky Pearsall. I've heard some good things about him lately. We've seen some videos on the Twitter on Ricky Pearsall. But what do you think? Do you really buy into this guy? Are you excited about this guy? Or are you like, nah, I don't know? Are you super hyped up? Because I feel like the fan base, like half of them are hyped up. Like, this guy is going to be amazing. And then the other half is kind of like, why do we waste our pick on a wide receiver? I don't know. What's your overall take? We haven't really talked about Ricky Pearsall much.
Yeah, I'm very bullish on Ricky Pearsall. You know, he has, you know, arguably the best hands, arguably the best route runner. Well, no, BA is the best route runner, but very good route runner, especially in the deep crossers. Great vertical leap, great broad jump, fastest 40 time, not named Jacob Cowing. So, or like Danny Gray, but like, are we even really talking about Danny Gray anymore? I mean, I think he's one step from the door. So, Ricky Persoli's got a great. I think the only question on him is, can he beat, you know, press man coverage off the line? And if he's playing in the slot, I don't think it's that big of a deal, and I think he'll learn how to do it. So, and he's a willing blocker. Can he become a plus blocker? Those are my only two question marks when it comes to Ricky Persol.
Yeah, I think blocking is the one issue we have to really see, because in Kyle Shanahan's offense, no block, no rock. If you can't block, you're not getting past that doghouse door. And I think that's what happened with Danny Gray. He just was not a player that excelled at blocking. And then, you know, he didn't develop in all the other areas, but like blocking was the key issue. And I remember, I think it was last year, I remember Debo had it was during training camp, during his press conference, they asked him specifically, and they said, hey, what do you feel about, you know, Danny Gray? You know, how's he coming along? And he goes, you know, I told Danny he has to get better at blocking, and that's what he's really shown at training camp. This was from last year. And that really stuck with me. I was like, all right, Kyle, man, he just wants, if you can't block as a wide receiver, he don't give a shit about you. So I think that's kind of where that is. So yeah, Ricky Persol, make sure you're blocking, because if you're not blocking, you're not even getting an opportunity to catch the passes, because Kyle needs you to do the minute details and stuff like that. I mean, you remember last year, Brandon Aiyuk on that run. It was Pittsburgh Steelers, 49ers, week 1. Christian McCaffrey runs 65 yards down the sideline, but there was a block by Brandon Aiyuk. I mean, just stone cold block. I think Ray had another one. Those two guys made the most disgusting blocks. And like, that's why the receivers that get the opportunities on Kyle Shanahan's offense get those opportunities. Juwan Jennings, Debo Samuel, Brandon Aiyuk, they block. So if Ricky Persol wants to be that guy, he's got to do that downfield blocking. It's not all about running your routes and being pretty slick Rick and, you know, getting open. You got to run those block routes. You got to block on those routes too. So hopefully he figures that part out. Real quick, Rob says that's why he was in a blue non-contact jersey, because the contract. It's actually not true. Kyle Shanahan mentioned this because they did ask him. We spoke about this a while back. So he was sore from OTAs. So Kyle wanted to be a little bit more protective, and, you know, obviously didn't want him to get hurt. So he's wearing a blue non-contact jersey because he was sore coming in from OTAs that they just had before minicamp. So that was it. It was nothing more than that. Kyle was just taking precaution. Didn't want to get his first-round rookie injured. So there we go with that. So speaking of not getting injured, there's something called a Madden curse. I don't know if you heard about the Madden curse. So we're going to talk about the Madden curse. But why are we bringing it up? Because there's a man by the name of Christian McCaffrey. The last time me and you spoke, Ted, the news didn't drop. We were actually asking ourselves, was Brandon Aiyuk going to show up at training camp? Was Christian McCaffrey going to show up at mini camp? Sorry, because there were reports flurrying around. Oh, they're not. Are they going to show up? This and that. And indeed, Christian McCaffrey showed up. He showed up to minicamp last week, but he also showed up with a brand new shiny contract. He set the market for running backs, $19 million a year, $38 million 2-year contract extension, putting him with the Niners through 2027. So I wanted to bring that up. I know me and you didn't specifically talk about that. I talked all about it myself. So I want to get your thoughts on Christian McCaffrey setting the market, getting a big contract. What do you think? How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, I mean, he's the best running back now, and he's one of the best running backs ever, especially when you consider, again, the pass blocking, the receiving, the route running, the hands. He has this, I probably said it to you before, but I'll just say it again. He has this innate ability, since Christian McCaffrey was a quarterback before becoming a running back, of being a quarterback's best friend. In other words, when you go through your progressions and you get to the end and it's Christian McCaffrey there as your last outlet, your dump off, you can bet the farm, bet your mortgage, whatever you want, you lock solid, book it, that he's going to be as close to the sticks as possible, if not beyond, and yet at the same time as far away from any possible defender. And he does those two things so amazingly well as an outlet receiver. And of course, he's incredible with the ball in his hands, able to make people miss. He's not a yak guy like Kittle or Debo, but he's not easy to bring down either. So, just a rare breed, and just the work ethic, everything about him, it just says the best. And not only the best now, but one of the best of all time. So best running back, 49ers running back ever by far.
Oh, by far. You think better than Frank Gore all time?
Absolutely. Frank Gore wasn't even second for me. I have Ricky Waters and Roger Craig ahead of Frank Gore, because of their innate abilities, not like obviously career statistics. I mean, Frank Gore just racked up yards and years.
He was a beast, but you got to give Frank his respect, because he did it behind a shoddy team. Everybody knew Frank Gore was getting the ball. Bottom line, you knew he was getting the ball, and he still put up thousands of yards a year.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, I would go Christian McCaffrey, Roger Craig, Ricky Waters, Frank Gore fourth on my.
Ricky Waters over Frank Gore.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, Ricky running Waters, man. I tell you what, letting him and Dion go after we won the Super Bowl is what killed us the next year, and that's why the Cowboys went and won the Super Bowl right after us, and that was their third in 4 years. It was losing, and Carmen Policy talks about it. He still regrets letting Dion and Ricky Waters walk that year.
Man, Dion and Waters, that crushed me as a young boy. I was like, what are we doing? I remember I was like, what are we doing? I get to middle school and I'm like, what are we doing here?
Then something happened to bar none, William Floyd, too. I think he got injured or something.
Yeah, and then all the running backs got hurt, man. After that, I remember we had Garrison Hurst. My bro got injured too, and I was like, oh god. But I don't know. Frank Gore ran behind a lot of stack boxes, like my man Bash said, and he was still putting up yards. I don't know. I got a lot of respect. I would probably put him ahead of Ricky Waters on that list. Roger Craig, man, that guy needs to be in the Hall of Fame. It's ridiculous how they don't respect him. But Christian McCaffrey, that guy is he's probably one of the best running backs in the NFL. He's going to go down if he continues at the pace he was doing as just one of the greatest of all time. He's like Marshall. He's like the modern day Marshall Faulk. He's a white Marshall Faulk, man. This guy last year, he led the team. He led the NFL in scrimmage yards, 2023 scrimmage yards, had 21 touchdowns. Obviously, he was the NFL Offensive Player of the Year. Like, this guy was just fantastic. The guy was amazing. I mean, he did it all for the team, and it wasn't just with the Niners. You could see how talented he was in college. You could see how talented he was with Carolina. It was a bad team he played with. He carried that team, and now he's on the Niners, who have a lot of weapons around him. He deserved and to me, $19 million is actually underpaying for CMC. Like, I still think he's underpaid, which is absolutely crazy. He should be paid more than some of these wide receivers, some of these quarterbacks. Like, I feel like
more than Debo.
Yeah, I feel like absolutely. I think he should get paid more than a lot of players in the league because of the value he brings to the team. But it's a position-based, break market in the league, and it sucks for him because, 19 million is great. I mean, I'm not scoffing at that. I would love to have 19 million a year, but for him, for the amount of work he does, man, it's insanely underpaid. But it is good for the running back market. They should all thank him. They should all send him a Christmas card because he did raise the value a little bit. I mean, it wasn't much, but he did raise it for all those guys. So good for CMC, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, and even you brought it up. I think on the timeline, you said something about like that ESPN grading the trade as a C- is like one of the greatest receipts.
There's like the greatest receipts of all time, man. Yeah. Like, it was stupid because everybody was trashing on CMC. People, I mean, Niner fans were, this is so dumb. Why do we get an injury prone? Kyle Shanahan loves injury prone guy. Why do we do it? I was probably one of the most hyped up people. I remember that live that night. I was like dancing. We were having a party. I had like thousands of people live on the stream. We were going crazy. They're like, Rod, you're not thinking this through. You're such a hype beast. This is so dumb. And I was like, all right, whatever. C- grade the next day. I was laughing. I was like, people are going to realize. And look, over 2,000 yards of scrimmage, the NFC player of the week multiple times. He was the offensive player of the year. Like, this guy in 2 years, in a year and a half, actually, has just been a fantastic football player for the Niners, and I'm happy he's on the team. He has elevated this offense to the 9th degree. It's amazing. Love it. I'm glad he is on the Niners. I guess still sometimes wake up going, CMC on the Niners. How the hell did we pull that one off? That trade was wildly outlandish. Amazing for him.
And it won't be as big of a bump, but I think we're going to see a little bump from Logan Thomas too. having a second
Oh
tight end
yeah,
who can block the
I
pass.
like that sign. We saw that last week when me and you talked.
And it's on
they
the
had
vet minimum. I don't know if we knew that then, but I think I said I would be happy paying him $4 or $5 million. We're paying him like 1.2, which is incredible. And I think it only counts like $700K or something like that.
I think he'll be nice. I think the tight end department is going to have a lot of competition this off season and training camp, and it's good. We got obviously Logan Thomas. They got Eric Schauber. They got Mason Peline. They got the rookies Latu and Braden Willis, like we've been talking about. I don't expect Latu and Willis to make that team, but this is their moment to step up because you got a lot of people on that tight end room, and you need some dogs. So competition is going to be there. Obviously, we all think Logan Thomas is going to be tight end too, but Kyle didn't think so. He says it's going to be competition. We'll see how it goes. So at the end of the day, Niners have a stacked roster, and it's going to be fun. So I did bring up CMC for a reason. Obviously, we didn't talk about his contract and everything last week. But there are a lot of rumors circulating. I don't know how big of a gamer you are. I don't know if you're a big Madden guy. But tomorrow, Tuesday, was it the 11th is tomorrow? Yeah, Tuesday the 11th, the Madden cover athlete will be announced. There's a lot of rumors going around. And there's some people that think that Christian McCaffrey might end up on the cover of Madden. And I don't know. I think that'd be cool. I think it'd be awesome for him. He could deserve it. But the Niner fans are like, oh, no, not the Madden curse. I saw someone on Twitter, I think it was Evan Sowards. He says, look, man, this is exactly what the Niners need. We're already cursed so bad, this would reverse the curse. You'd put the Madden curse on a cursed team, and it would reverse the curse. So honestly, give me CMC on the cover, although the major rumor from the weekend was it's going to be Joe Burrow. Like it was leaked somehow. I don't know. What do you think? Should CMC be on the cover of Madden? Would you be hyped up? Would you be sick for the curse? Or do you think it's going to be Joe Burrow ultimately?
I'm not worried about the curse because wasn't Mahomes on there 1 year when they won the Super Bowl?
I think he's been on it 2 times. Yeah.
And one was one of their Super Bowl winning years. So I think that kind of reversed the curse of worrying about that. I think CMC has a real uphill battle ahead of him, as great as he is, with running back being one of the most devalued positions in the NFL and quarterback being obviously the glory position.
Yeah.
I got to say, I expect it'll be Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow. Let me see. So the NFL posted this today. I kind of feel like it's going to be Joe Burrow too. He seems like he'd be a good cover athlete. He's got the look. I think I think the NFL loves Joe Burrow, and I think he probably. I think Christian McCaffrey has the look too. I think he definitely looks like a good cover athlete. He's awesome, and I think people would be happy to see him. But Burrow, the quarterback, he's got that vibe, that swagger. So this is what the the NFL. It says, who do you think should be on the cover of Madden? And they've listed Joe Burrow. They got Patrick Mahomes. He's already been on it many times. They got Justin Jefferson. They got Micah Parsons. They got Sauce Gardner. They got Christian McCaffrey. They got Myles Garrett. They got Travis Kelce. They got Tyreek Hill. And they got CeeDee Lamb. So these are the options that the NFL has put on the cover. Out of those guys, I really don't see Tyreek Hill or CeeDee Lamb being cover athlete. If they're going to have Justin Jefferson, he's the best wideout. Just got $140 million, so he'd probably be the guy out of those guys. Sauce Gardner, I don't think he has enough appeal or swag to be a cover guy. Parsons, only Dallas loves him. Mahomes, he's been on it many times. Myles Garrett, he's not going to be on it. I don't know. He's not like a very selling type player. So to me, it comes really down to Christian McCaffrey, Joe Burrow. I think it's got to be one of those two, but I think Burrow ultimately gets it.
Anyone but Mr. Taylor Swift.
Oh man, if Travis Kelce's on there, I'm gonna be sick, man. You can't put Travis. Oh man, you know what? What if they put Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce on the cover of I will never play that game. Oh man. Let's. Jeez.
Please no. Please.
I just realized you're probably right. If they put Kelce, that's a golden opportunity for them to put what's her name on it?
T-Swizzle.
Taylor Swift. Oh my God. Could you imagine? Oh, come on.
I don't want to.
Oh, I don't either. Oh, Justin Jefferson. Maybe that works. I could see that.
I mean, he did just get that groundbreaking money to pass Nick Bosa. So
I know he passed Nick Bosa as the most highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. That's crazy. A lot of money. A lot of money. So we'll see. I'm going to put some money on Joe Burrow, but I would be absolutely ecstatic if CMC is the cover athlete. I already got. We wait until tomorrow. As soon as I wake up, I'm going to see who they put on that cover. So maybe you'll see some breaking news on the timeline on the page. So we'll see. We'll see how
I
it
would
goes.
love it if it's CMC. Absolutely.
I would too. And I know a
First
lot of
doesn't
people
scare me at all.
People are going to say curse, 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 this and that. Someone in the comments says, Kenny says, scripts, they don't give an F about the curse. Because you guys, yeah, you're right. If it's scripted, don't matter about your curse. Your script trumps everything. So we'll see how it goes. I think that's pretty much the main news of the day. Obviously, Brandon Aiyuk, we covered that. Trent Williams, the Christian McCaffrey news over the last week. There's really nothing else out there right now. We except one more story that I want to end it on. This was like the other big story of last week when the 49ers were going through minicamp. They had interviewed several players, obviously Fred Warner and some of the bigger names on the team. Talanoa Hufanga was actually at the podium, and they interviewed him. And he went up there and he talked about, what his injury is kind of doing, how his rehab's coming along. And he says that he's feeling really good, and his goal is to be ready to play week 1 of the regular season. So that's pretty big news. That's a big update. His goal is to be ready. He may not be all in every training camp practice or whatever, but he's going to ramp it up and should try to make it to where he's starting week 1. I love that. I mean, we need Talanoa Hufanga. I think he was greatly missed last year. I hope he can come back strong and not injure himself further and be ready. But it does sound like things are going well, and he's clicking, and he's looking ready to be back for week 1. So what do you think? Talanoa Hufanga, hype levels on him most likely being ready for week 1.
Well, I was there with the Foreigners Faithful UK folks in the gold mine for that Bucks game when he tore his ACL.
Yeah.
I remember like when he got juked, I was like, that looked really awkward the way he went down. And it was the weirdest thing because he kept playing on it. And it took him like a few plays, like a few series, a few minutes before I think the swelling and pain really built up. Normally, guys, you got to take him out on a stretcher or on someone's shoulders. But Hufanga is a tough sucker. And he was, gutting it through it. And, he played for a while after that. But, that's November 19th. So we got December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. 10 months. Yeah. I mean, I'd be kind of 50-50 on. I wouldn't be surprised to see Pup for 4 to 6 weeks to start the season. But if he thinks he's ready week 1, I'm not going to say I don't think that'll happen. I believe him.
Yeah, no, I think he can make the recovery. And like you said, he's kind of one of those tough SOBs that you don't want to count him out. He's a guy you don't want to count out. I could see it being ready. He's already, like I said, progressing well into the offseason. He's been rehabbing on the sidelines here at OTAs and stuff. So I think he's on track. Definitely medical advances and rehab has come a long way over the last several years. And a lot of people come back from an ACL. We just want to make sure he's at the level he was at before the injury. He was an all-pro. And I feel like he could be a missing piece that the 49ers had last year. When he went down, they scrambled that safety. They had to go sign, Eric Harris and Logan Ryan and all these safeties because their depth was taking a hit. They had the rookie who wasn't ready, Jair Brown, who got better as the season went on. You had Tashawn Gibson, but, you really didn't have a lot of depth out there in the safety department. So I'm really hoping that Talanoa Hufanga is rocking and rolling and he doesn't have any issues. The first game or so, he might be trying to test it out, but we need Hufanga to be Hufanga. I'm going to play the clip of him from last week.
How are you feeling? How's the recovery going?
I'm feeling great. I get a little eager out there. I'm super excited. It's fun. The days that I get to go out there and watch the practices, it's been a blessing, and you see how much football truly means to you when you're away from it. But it's everything to me, so I truly do love it. So.
At this point, do you have an idea of when you'll be fully cleared, or is that still kind of?
So obviously, give or take any time, but the goal is to be ready by week 1. The goal is to be in training camp, not at the very beginning, but to ramp me up correctly, just so it's not just to throw you out there to the wolves and good luck. But try to be smart with it. We've had plenty of conversations with the training staff and putting me in the best possible situation to succeed for myself, and then try to help the team as well. So.
All right, good stuff. So he's ready to roll. He's optimistic. That's always a good sign. Mentally, he's got a good head on his shoulders, and I think that's the biggest step when you're going through rehab. So good to hear. Good news from Talanoa Hufanga. Let's hope that we get some more good news on the rest of this team. So any final thoughts or predictions or anything you want to go over, my man?
Just want to say hi to Aaron. He just popped into the chat there.
What's up, Big Aaron?
No, not really. Just I've got a show tomorrow with Ryan from No Border Sports. We do No BS TED every Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific, 2:30 Eastern. So be sure and check that out, folks. It should be fun. He's got some cool new ideas, and hopefully I can keep up with them all and make it as cool as he does. He's done on some of his other shows. So hopefully I can not let him down and keep our show up to pace with his standards. So.
All right, good stuff. And I will be live with my man Larry Kruger tomorrow night, as we usually are on Tuesday nights at the late hours on the West Coast. But
I was going to say one more thing too about Huff. You mentioned that the recovery times are shorter. Just sort of a technical fact about that. I have an orthopedic surgeon close in the family, and back in the day when they used to do those ACL reconstruction surgeries, they would cut a real big incision in your knee, and now they do a micro incision where it's just like only maybe like an inch and a half long.
Yeah,
and that leads to less infections and faster recovery times and just a better overall result. And so I just wanted to add that little bit of I was thinking of that, but sorry I cut you off.
No, that's good. It's good to know. And
Larry.
It's all good stuff. No, as a PT, I've noticed that too. The incisions have not been as crazy as when I first started as a PT. I remember these incisions were like crazy. I was like, "Whoa, shit, yeah!" And you could tell. I was like, "Oh, you got your ACL replay there." You could tell. Now it's like, "Oh, you had knee surgery." You can barely. Sometimes you can't even really notice as much, compared to before. The scars are not as big. Before, you knew when someone had an ACL. They had that big old scar. I mean, they still have it, but a scar, but not as massive as it once was. So yeah, recovery is definitely shorter, and they want to cut down on infections because those are a big thing in the orthopedic world, and it's a tough situation when you have infections. But yeah, tomorrow night I'll be live with Big Larry Kruger. Appreciate you guys for hopping in today. Again, it wasn't a lot to talk about, but as the season gets closer, there will be more things to talk about. Me and Ted will review it all every week. I'm glad that he's here. Check out my boy Ted Talks Ball. You still doing the bike channel, Ted Talks Bikes?
Yeah, Teddy Talks Bikes, all one word.
All right.
And I'm calling it more like Teddy Talks Ball to kind of go with it, because when you go into the TED Talk stuff, that stuff takes over and you'll never find me. So try more with the Teddy stuff. And plus, if I ever make it big, I don't want them to sue me.
Yeah, you don't want. Yeah, exactly. A little copyright infringement, my guy. So
a week from today, we should have Mr. John Pay.
That's right. Next week, John Pay. If you guys remember from the last time he was on, former 49ers quarterback John Pay will be on live with us. So we'll ask him some stuff. It's the off season. There won't be a lot to talk about. So it's good to have a guest here and there. So appreciate you guys. Appreciate Ted. You guys have a blessed rest of your day. Go Niners. Brandon Aiyuk signed the contract. $26 million. Your son doesn't need to eat caviar for every meal. I love you guys. Have a great night. Peace.
Peace. Go Niners.